Welcome to this week's Tribal Sports Radio. I am stoked for what we got on tap here. I want to run you guys through. We got some segments. We got show notes, maybe we'll call it. First thing, I'm going to jam on this idea of the 10-minute touch. We got Logan coming on to talk about his brand Splits, and specifically interested in hearing about him making local partnerships. So we got some brand building that'll be coming up. Want to talk about Backyard Ultra success. There's a big Backyard Ultra that just went down this past weekend. Really just ended like yesterday, maybe. And we also got the team prepping up for Prairie on Fire Backyard Ultra. And we got some tribal 200 segments that we'll close with and athlete of the week. So, Logan, I think that you'll resonate with this idea. I want to talk about the 10-minute touch real quick before we get into splits talk. I shared a video on Instagram this morning, and last night I had some Maple Boost to fill, and it's just this mindset of like, I don't want to like commit to this massive freaking multiple hour evening grinding on the side hustle, but like I can show up for 10 minutes. I can show up for 10 minutes and chip away and make a little bit of progress. And what I find is that then sets me up to always just be like, I can go a little bit more. I can give 10 more minutes. I can add in 50 more bags. Like the pouches are in like these 50 unit bags or whatever they come in. I'm like, I could do one more. I could do one more. And then all of a sudden you're there for, it was probably 45 minutes of work last night. And I see the same thing happen for me in strength where I'm like, hey, I got 10 minutes. I can bang out some push-ups. I can bang out some jump rope. Sometimes it's just 10 minutes, but sometimes it expands into 25 or so. And I think that's a huge hack on just making progress on any, we'll call it like a secondary goal, but it would definitely transfer to main stuff. I mean, I'm not really thinking about rides or runs that way. I'm pretty decided on how long I'm going to be out there when I go do that stuff. Maybe that's a little bit more of a schedule thing, but when I think back to my history of building side hustles and turning them into businesses, like that idea of the 10-minute touch, I can do 10 minutes on my bandana business before I go in on the train to the city to work in Philly. I can do 10 minutes at home. And it really teaches you what moves the needle in the business or on the mission. But I think almost even more importantly is that it helps you get really fast at the transition to start. Like you're not going to work out for 10 minutes if it takes you 20 minutes to get set up. And you are a guy that I observe, you and I are on similar training waves of like, short runs here and there, kids stuff, family stuff, work, business, whatever. And so I just wanted to hear your perspective on that and how that resonates for you.
I was like, he finally understands. That's how I felt, was like Ryan has reached the point where he understands how I like to train. And
I just
it
needed a
it
second kid.
it, it takes time to appreciate short duration efforts and like really understand like the momentum it can build for like craving the next one.
Right.
And it just creates a really strong rhythm for seeking opportunities when they don't really seem like they're that available.
Right. I'm getting this link out real quick. So yeah, you've been doing this kind of stuff for a while, right? Little 15 to 30 minute sessions, we'll call it. When we're talking in like a run training sense or a ruck or you getting on the treadmill or whatever. And clearly that just works for what you have and your situation in life, right? You got 3 kids, job, you're doing creative side projects, all kinds of stuff.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, if I wanted to go into it further,
Yeah, yeah.
just if I want to go out for a run with my daughter and it's like, hey, if I can get 15 minutes, like, okay, that's a mile and a half.
Yeah.
I've shifted this focus to having like a very rigid training plan to just stronger floor goals of like, here's my minimum that I need to hit. And that
Well,
just
it's all
gets me
coming together.
it just gets me one step closer to my goal. So I see it as a huge unlock versus like a debate on whether or not it was beneficial.
Right. And what's cool too is like there's value in every direction of doing any kind of training. Like there is certainly value in getting, multiple double run days. Like that's pretty much what's going down for me lately. 2, 3 times a week, I'm running twice a day for 25 minutes. Like that's, if anything, it's like almost like in the gym, right? You can be doing, you're doing your standard, shoulder press, we'll call it, right? But then you got your accessory movements where you're doing your lat raise, you're doing your rear delt flies. And so, yeah, they're all strengthening the shoulder muscle, but they aren't all the shoulder equivalent of like the hour stock run.
Yeah.
So it's been cool to get into it, and even today, just like a little 20-minute circuit lift here at home. Got on the rower, got some sandbag stuff going on. So I think about the reason that I wanted to share that is like it's such a it's so silly to think that you need more time. 'Cause, like, no your time is always compressing. I'm gonna have another like, there's gonna be a 3rd kid at some point. There's gonna be less time. There's gonna be more, like, business stuff. There's gonna be more, "Oh, I got these obligations. I got this thing I'm doing." And it's, like, getting better at being able to, like, start really quickly, do the thing well. Like, I'm not there's not too much of a warm up in a 20-minute lift. Like, you're in and out. You're pretty much looking to get to the point of dripping sweat as soon as possible. And if not, it's
Mhm.
like, this whole thing was a warm up. This was dumb.
Yeah. The huge takeaway though is, like, you don't have to just have the kids to, like, reach this point of 20-minute efforts being valuable. Like, if you don't have kids, but you have a very rigid work schedule,
Totally.
I know for a fact you don't have work blocks the entire 8 hours of the day, but there's probably a 30-minute segment or an hour segment where we all know most people are probably fussing around with something else that's not work, so why not just go take a 20-minute session and, like, progress yourself athletically?
Yeah, and I also think that that connects to something that I see in you that I see as, like, a huge just strength of your identity is, like, you took the day off work last week to go do your Tribal 200 effort, and you often will, do stuff during the day. Like, you're not just shackled to being on my computer all the time. I can't, like, go exercise some freedom and pursue my other goals in this window of time. Like, I am not contained here.
Mhm. It's how I like to operate in my professional careers. I wanna be a high achiever in my professional space, and in order for me to be able to have the luxuries of midday runs, I need to be able to work hard and do it well, and that kind of allows me the opportunity to be a little bit more flexible with the way I train and when I train.
Yeah. And what I'm experiencing that's cool right now is like, there was a point in my running or training career where like, the 45-minute run, like I'm going to that 45 minutes and 10 seconds. Like I'm doing that every time. If not, hitting the next mile mark and maybe going 50 minutes. Right. And I still have like elements of that now where like, I did my second run yesterday. I ran 2 5Ks yesterday. And that second run, like I did, there was a little bit of negotiation going on of like, should I just end at 15 minutes? What if it's like too much? And I ended up making it to 5K. And so like that number of a 5K, like that was a finish line, but like it was at 28 minutes or something like that. So like not that like, maniacal has to be 30 minutes, but also that's paired with the higher frequency. Because it's like you can't be chasing both of those at the same time. That is really what I've experienced. Like you can't be doing the run in the 20-minute windows if every single run needs to be like this perfectly crisp, clean data point.
Mhm. Yeah, I struggled with that the other week for the 200-mile relay. I had a race or a run segment that was, like, 2.58 miles, and I was just like, "That's just what it's gonna be right now because I gotta get inside."
Yeah. So that's all good stuff. But I want to hear specifically about splits. You shared,
Mm,
I mean, splits seems to be rolling on. And you shared in the tribal chat yesterday the the hats that you're doing for Prairie on Fire, right? So I want to hear a little bit about how that came to life and what's just going on with them. That was like a new surprise. I didn't expect that at all. And also just the idea of like you growing the brand locally and what you've been doing to make these local touch points and partnerships. I've observed it looks like Splits is in a couple of stores, maybe local run stores. And so what's just your vision on it and what's been working?
yeah. So I think to kinda set the baseline for the audience, this was a brand that was built for my couch because I am a Cieli fan. I have a wide lineup of Cieli athletic hats, and they had a world marathon lineup that focused on, Sydney, New York, Chicago. I was like, these are really dope hats, but one, I don't live in those, and I've never ran into those, so I feel like a fraud if I were to buy them because they have a sick colorway. So I was like, let's build something locally. We have, I think, the Indy Monumental Marathon like just wrapped up, so I was coming fresh off of that. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, let's build something locally. And that's the hat that I'm wearing now. I wanted to make sure I was wearing that for the audience to see.
Yeah.
So this was built with a 50 quantity order. What's my minimum entry point that, can hopefully be valuable to the growth of the business? And it came with about 100 DMs shortly after. Just everybody,
Nice, dude.
I was like,
100 DMs.
it was basically like, who's a runner that I know locally that
Oh, you
may
sent out
want?
100 DMs.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I wish it
Nice.
was 100 inbound, but no, it was
I
100
thought,
outbound.
oh my god, you're on this on.
No, no, no. There was 100 outbound DMs, like people that, I've had the privilege to run next to or have some sort of affiliation that I feel like would be down to buy a dope hat.
Yeah.
And, we sold out probably 3 months of work. So it wasn't like it immediately took off, but it gave me enough
3
ammo
months
to
to sell out once you had them, or once you made them available for sale?
once I made them for sale, like I put them for pre-order probably the week after I created the business. So I didn't even have the hats in hand. I didn't know exactly what they would look like, but I felt pretty strongly with the manufacturer that I've worked with in the past about like what the
Yeah.
quality would be. So I kind of took a bet there, paid off, and ever since then, it's just been like, how do I replicate other hat manufacturers or brands that I really enjoy, but in my own unique way, and continue to broaden the indie running community first. And what's really transpired over the course of the last 8 months is, thankfully we're heading into, warmer months at the time race season's coming upon. Run clubs are popping up left and right. So I wanted to reach out to all the run club hosts. Hey, could I do a demo? Would you like to maybe do like a revenue share to, solicit these hats to your community? Maybe it's a donation I can make in return so that you guys can continue to grow. And then the idea came where one of the DMs that I originally sent in the early months was to TJ. You know TJ. For those who don't know TJ, TJ is a local race director for the Full Mo 50K and the Prairie on Fire, which is a team race that we're taking down here in about 30 days. And thankfully TJ purchased the hat. No real follow up after that. And then gave it a couple weeks. And I had this idea of like, hey, how do we enhance race day experience? And I pitched the idea. I was like, hey, TJ, like, would you be down to do a race day hat? And it doesn't have to be, a part of the bid pickup. It can be exclusive. It can be for the finishers, should you want. And he's like, no, I've enjoyed the hat that you've created. Um, it's comfortable, like it fits the style, like it's unique that I have not yet seen before. So yeah, let's do it. And TJ put together an offering with some of the sponsors of the race and said, "Hey, if we can get the sponsored logo on the hat as well, like we'll take care of the financials of it, but let's make it 100 and let's sell them." And we did a pre-order 3 weeks before the race, and they sold out in 8 hours.
Wait, this was for
And
the Mo?
yeah, so we did the full Mo hats.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the
Uh,
Perry hats. This was for the
no,
full Mo, because I saw the full Mo hats, the red hats. They're great.
yeah, think BPN red hats that
Yep.
are full
Yep.
through.
And so
Um,
and
so
so and so the idea was that you were like, "Hey," and it was like, "Hey, we're gonna do 100 units,"
yep,
and, he was gonna facilitate money from the sponsors,
yep.
and that was gonna fund it, and then you guys were
Mhm.
also gonna sell them on pre-order.
We basically sold them at cost. So
Yep.
we wanted to make sure that, we're building the community aspect and the race day experience for those athletes. So, the vision was all of these athletes who are pre-ordering these hats are going to come to the full Mo on race day morning in a sea of red. And we're
Yeah.
just going to see the entire branding of the race because this is a smaller organized, but also highly unorganized in terms of like general size. So when you're running through the Monon, which is a rail trail here in Indianapolis, like you're just seeing the full Mo
Right.
branding go all the way down through 5 or 6 little areas. And
Rather than
it's
what
just
would otherwise look like, generally speaking, a bunch of runners. Maybe a little bit more
yeah,
ultra marathon gear, you got a pack or whatever, but, like, they're just people on the Mona,
yeah, yeah. So like
rather than a
yeah,
red all these red hats going by.
yeah, yeah. So like you may pick up on the bid and be like, oh, okay, there's a race, but is it a 5K? And then
Right.
you start seeing the hats, and then it starts, facilitating questions to the runners of what is this, and creates more awareness to what TJ is building, which is a really strong ultra marathon community here. And that was in May, and I pitched the idea of like, hey, we've got the Prairie on Fire here. Like I've already created some mock-ups, so I wanted to come to the conversation of like, here's your branding color scheme. Here's what a conceptual design could look like. What are your thoughts? And, I was originally thinking of something. Is there a 100-mile hat? Is there a 50-mile hat? Is there an entry level hat? Like, what are the options that we wanted to run here?
Yeah.
And TJ came back. He's like, let's do 250. Every runner gets one. And, that was like just pure joy for me. I'm like,
So
heck
this is
yeah. Like,
by far biggest order you've had.
biggest brand partnership order to date. And we're
And dude,
flirting with
think
a
about
little
it,
more.
that's 5x the 50 units that you started with that indie hat in.
Yeah, totally,
That
totally.
is sick.
So yeah, I'm super excited. Production just finished on the hats, and it is not so much of a, we want to pre-order these, we want to sell these to the racers. It's truly a product offering for everybody who is, continuously investing in the community that TJ's building within the races, but also all of the indie-based runners who are supporting TJ. They're supporting splits as we're growing, and
Right.
as a business owner and runner myself, like that is probably one of the coolest things that I've seen is just like a random run, some of these random 20-minute runs, and I'm running down the Monon and I see a stranger wearing a splits hat, and I'm like, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. So you've had that happen a
don't
couple of times.
Yeah, so I've been able to see that happen, and it's been really special to see it grow. And
So we gotta get it
um,
up here. So I just pulled this up. So this is the hat.
that's the hat. So if we want to talk through the design real quick, if we just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
highlight
So I noticed here, I noticed that looks like the HubSpot logo. So are they a sponsor of
Orange Theory,
Oh,
very
that's Orange
similar to
Theory.
HubSpot though. Turn off corporate Ryan there for a second.
Orange Theory. I haven't seen. I'm not hype. I'm not up to date on the Orange Theory thing. So you got Sorry. So you got Orange Theory as a sponsor, and then the bridge.
Yep,
What's that?
that is the bridge that we cross twice
Okay. So that's not like a
per loop.
sponsorship. That's just like an element of the hat
Nope.
design.
Yep, just element of the hat design, kind of bringing in more of the uniqueness that the Prairie on Fire course brings.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. No.
Tribal bridge, if you wanted to talk to it internally.
Yeah. 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 Totally. So yeah, talk to us. Where? So you came to him with what? This design, maybe some other ones, or this came to life
Yeah,
after a couple of iterations.
couple variations in advance of this, but we wanted something that we haven't really seen before, and it's really easy to slap a logo on a hat and call it a day. But
Yeah.
what one thing that I wanted to do is, as a runner myself, like what's something that will corroborate the effort that I just put together, and it's kind of a celebration that I could look back on and say, all right, well, um, the uniqueness of this race, just the format of itself is special, but the course as you run it also has a lot of variety in terms of like the scenery. So, how do we represent the uniqueness of the course itself? And we put together the Strava chart, the actual perimeter of the race, and in that we wanted to add some branding uniqueness to highlight the Prairie on Fire, and that's where we kind of tweaked the logo of itself. For some reason, to me, I think like Friday the 13th type of feel when I see the text, but it just came together naturally, and we pulled some pretty strong colors that were loud, but also um, something that you would want to grab not only on race day, but just on every given day that you're training for. And this was the final design that we put together, and we'll see 250 of these come live in September.
Man, that is so awesome. And so like it a similar situation of like he used some of the sponsors and maybe some of just the race
Mhm.
funds to like order all these?
100% sponsor driven. So we had a mutual friend that, not come to find out, almost lives right across the street from me, who
Nice.
oversees Scotty, who oversees Orange Theory here in Carmel, one of the primary sponsors for the Prayer on Fire. We just put together an offering, said, here's kind of what the general expectation would be. Here's what the product would look like. And we got the go ahead. And yeah, production just finished and we're ready to go.
This is awesome, man. I mean, it's gonna go so well with the tribal uniform too.
It will. It will. It does have some ties there.
Yeah, no, it'll be great. I'm so impressed with it. So basically, tracking back on the TJ conversation is like, hey, you basically took a risk and ordered 50 units of this thing you wanted to bring to life. You then reached out to a bunch of people, said, hey, made this thing, think you'll like it. One of them was TJ. He bought one hat, and
Hmm.
that was just kind of like an initial little. There's a little something there, but then there was kind of a period of like, all right, well, kind of whatever. And then remind me again what initiated the Mo conversation. You were signed up for that race and running that race. And did you come to him with the idea of doing them for like sale?
Yeah, so I came to the idea with a race day hat,
Race day
and
hat.
when I texted TJ, he's like, "I'm glad you asked. I had the same thought,"
Oh,
and
nice.
that just kind of launched everything.
Yeah. No, that's legit. And then you had basically V1, which was a pre-sale, right? So then this is also cool because you're getting into like, are you going to sell them or are they gifted? And like, how is it being funded? And so the first one was still sponsor funded, I think you said,
Mhm.
but
Yep.
then sold at cost.
Mhm.
And now, I mean, you're gonna have a sea of people, every single runner, more or less, I'm assuming, is gonna be wearing this hat.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the
Yeah.
goal. And, to kind of reflect a little bit, like, obviously, in the moment when I was running the full mo, obviously, I only saw a couple of hats, obviously, at the start of the race, I did, but, throughout the race, everybody kinda finds their own pace. Looking back on race day photos at the finish line and then, like, seeing an image where every single person in the viewpoint is wearing that hat was really, really special.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Um, I wanna ask you a little bit on, some other backyard type stuff, right? You're pretty plugged into, like, the backyard world, and
I love it.
this huge backyard just went down, and Mark Dowdall. It's funny, I saw somebody post, like, that, "Oh, Backyard Ultra is, like, the growing into being the largest, like, non-pro running event to document," but I'm like, "I don't know, to me, these guys are, like, best in the world, so it might as well be pro, right?" So, just for the listeners and even for myself to understand, what was this race that went down this weekend? And this Mark Dowdall dude went, I think, 94 yards for just shy of
Mhm.
400 total miles, and what I assume is a new world record?
Uh, World record, I'll have to probably defer to somebody else, but, this is a race that I don't know how long it's been going on, but it just became widely popular through the race director, Kim, who co-won the BPN Backyard Ultra last year.
Oh, Kim
So
Gottwald, okay.
yeah,
I
yeah,
saw
so
him posting content about this, so he hosts this race.
I think it's his race, yes. So
Okay, and it's
he's the
called something
organizer.
Soul, right?
Yeah, Last Soul Backyard Ultra.
Last Soul Backyard Ultra.
Yeah, so he put the race together.
Yeah,
Rapid, I believe, is a brand that he owns and has co-founded and markets. Um, but obviously him being tied to BPN obviously gave him a lot of access to other racers like Harvey Lewis, obviously Mark. Andy Glaze was a big ultra runner who showed up this year.
yeah.
And yeah, the race in of itself, not quite world record, yeah, thanks, Jordan. But I think it can certainly highlight just how different the athletes are who excel in the backyard ultra environment.
What do you mean by that?
I think the Andy Glaze conversation is valuable here. For
I don't
those
know
who
much
don't
about
know.
Andy Glaze. So what's
So
his
so
deal?
and
He's running
yeah,
I
so
all I know is he's this guy is apparently a
yeah,
firefighter, and he's been running 100 miles a week for, like,
so
3
this
plus
is
years.
yeah, so this is Andy. You
Yep.
may recognize him here. I got his
Yeah, yeah.
book. A really cool story. So Andy, just a little bit about Andy. He has, I don't know, 6 years of 100 miles per week of consistency, and, like, that is a ridiculous amount of training every single week, let alone having some of the
Upwards of
largest
15 hours
races
of running a week.
a week. He's a firefighter. I think he's a very high rank within the firehouse. I don't have that dialogue or knowledge, but he's also the type of athlete that will do the last soul backyard ultra, do I don't know 100 miles, fly back home, and I think he's doing Leadville 100 this coming weekend.
Yeah.
So he's a real athlete. Um, but not compared to Mark Dowdle when you think about the backyard environment. Mark just ran 300 or 300 plus miles, and he even had the conversation of, which one is harder? Is it harder to go run 100 miles all the
Mark
way
just
through?
ran a
Or
300-mile race. Did he run the Arizona Monster?
no, no, I guess he just ran 300 at the
In his
last.
backyard.
Correct, correct. I think it was like the recap of that race, it was the debate of is 100 miles in a backyard ultra harder or easier than a standard 100-mile all the way through ultra
Yeah,
marathon. And I think Andy was the first to say that the backyard ultra style or format was significantly harder because of the required pacing to hit the 4.167-mile loop every hour on the hour.
got it.
So, just
Yeah.
enhances the ability to stand by that. These are definitely pro athletes, whether,
I mean,
people
these guys are
recognize that or not.
consistently doing 300 plus
Yeah,
miles. So,
yeah,
you know, it's like, what's your definition of pro? They're consistently, and there's also like a crew of these top achieving guys that seem to compete against each other multiple times a year. So, like, to me, I mean, what's the definition of a pro circuit? Seems exactly like the Ironman circuit, where it's like, oh, damn, Sam Long's going against whoever,
mhm,
they're throwing down.
yeah,
Um, So I think yeah, it's interesting. So what do you observe as an athlete of somebody like Andy Glaze versus Mark Dowdle? Like, what do you see in them athletically that's just one way or the other?
I think, if you study Mark Daddle or just look at the history that he's presented in his kind of fitness career, his style of training is kind of just open-ended. Like, it is not just go run yards after yards after yards, like, he will do any format of training and see it as a valuable asset for him to continue to
There we
work,
go.
which
Of
which
course,
which
I offensive,
builds,
well-rounded athlete.
yeah. But I mean, I think I don't know his full history, but I believe he was like a lacrosse player, a football player. He does some of these
Oh,
just
I think he played football at least, maybe also
yeah,
lacrosse.
yeah, yeah, but, like, he's continued that type of training where he's sprinting, he's doing, like, lateral movements, like, something that's not at all affiliated with a 12-minute mile pace, right?
Right.
But, like, that has built his ability to prolong his physical effort over the course of what we just witnessed was, like, 5 days, 4 days.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and that actually makes me think. So when I saw this stuff starting to go down the other day, I watched. He's got like a new 20-minute video, and I haven't really seen anything on him. But he's got a video that just came out from, I think VPN put it out or something like that, and it kind of just shows like him and his day to day process. And he lives, I think, in Minnesota. It is, and
Mhm,
there's some clips of him like running at the track, and then there's some clips of him at this like workout class that he does, which is like on turf, what you described, right? Sprinting, lots of lateral stuff, lots of agility type stuff, and really, what that actually made me think of is like not only just like the value in doing variable training, but it really made me think about the value of like really owning what you have access to and making the
mhm.
most out of it. Like somebody could see that and be like, "Oh, I should be doing this like, you know, fitness group, badass garage box gym, doing sprints. I got this group, somebody's taking me through a class, it's all this agility stuff." And like, yeah, maybe there's some secret sauce in that style of training, but to me, it's like what is at your disposal and like what can you fall in love with and what can you make the most out of and what can you be really consistent on? Like he's got some random track near him. He just runs on the track all the time, right? He's got this fitness class. That's what he does. Like, the carry stuff it made me think about like, getting into the carry clubs and I want to hear about your vision for the indie thing as well. But that was what stuck out to me is like it always sticks out when somebody really leans into the environment that they're in. If they're a city
Mhm.
runner, be a freaking city runner and do it in
Yeah,
your style. Don't just follow every other run club in the city, but like, don't try to be a mountain runner if you live in a city. And don't try to be a turf gym class CrossFit situation if you don't have that easily accessible. Like, lean into what you got and make the most of it.
totally. I think he's the definition of, any training is better than no training, and he capitalizes on what he has access to and what also fuels him, and when he is fueled to what he's doing, he's gonna do more of it, and that's what, this translates to.
Yeah. It's so crazy. I mean, running for like 4 days, I can't even imagine that. What do you observe in
Matt,
his process that you're like, I want to do more of that in my own? I want to do more of that at Prairie.
um, I think for him, his mindset is probably one of a kind.
What do
Mark,
you observe in it?
he's a lunatic. He's very calm, but, like, when lunatic Mark comes out, like, that means he is in the zone, and you'll
Yeah.
typically see it later in the race. Um, his style, I think we've talked about just getting vertical and or horizontal, excuse me, and, like, elevating the feet and, like, really taking
He's big on
advantage of
that.
prep.
His recovery laps or recovery
I
between
feel
laps is horizontal.
Yeah, I feel like if anybody has seen a picture of Mark, it's him literally laying down, passed out, eyes covered with a towel, feet crossed on a chair, and he is just out. Like, he's just knocked out, but he's recovering from that segment and preparing for the next one.
And do you observe anything in like his run walk strategy? He's running 12s or what?
Um, everything that I didn't watch a ton of this one, but for his performance at the Go One More Ultra, the BPN backyard, like, he's back at the crew every single time. Literally until, like, there's probably a couple dozen of runners left, but he's probably the last one to leave the corral.
So he spends as much time there as he can. Is that what you're saying?
No, he's just patient. he understands that this is a long race and he's running his own style of that, and for some reason, he just likes to be the last one walking out and see everybody leave in front of him, knowing that,
Oh, I see. So he's not like
yeah,
start of the line, new lap
no,
starts, go. He's like
yeah,
very slow and steady out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Um, yeah, man. I mean, I'm just getting so freaking jazzed up for this race. I'm so
It's
excited
it
for the challenge.
it's such a fun environment. Whether you're there to throw down 20 miles, if you're looking for a PR, just this environment is so fun.
What what are your goals? How are you thinking about this year? This is what, the third or fourth time that you've run it. Last year you did a bunch of laps with Nora. Are you running with Nora this year?
So this will be my 3rd year actually running it, 4th year of attending it. The first year I actually met Goldstein and Spina and, just kinda spectated. This year, I'm not going to be pushing my limits, more of a community event for myself. I'll probably still go and throw down at least a 50K, majority of which will be with Nora. Um, I'm the officiant for my sister the following weekend, so I got to be sharp and smart physically. But I'm also doing the run across
Officiant
Indiana.
at her wedding?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
So I get to marry my sister, the following
Nice.
weekend. So I gotta be careful on, my physical ability, leading up to that. But I also have the run across Indiana in early October. So everything that I'm focused on right now is just being healthy and staying healthy.
Freaking run across Indiana. Let's hear more about that. So this was an
Yeah.
idea. You had initially shared something about this early back in the year. What's the vision right now?
Yeah, it's live. So October 8th is when we're gonna take off. We're gonna start in Terre Haute, Indiana. We're gonna finish 182 miles across 7 days. I'll have 3 days solo and 4 days with Nora, and I've overlapped that with a friend of mine who is hosting a 50K on the west side of Indianapolis. So I'm trying to tee it up so that when his race starts on Saturday, I'm going to be kind of like halfway. So I'll be coming eastbound. His starts westbound and returns east. So I'll be able to see all of the indie community who's participating in that event on the day that I'm running, through that general area.
Oh man, this
And
is
we'll,
so sick.
yeah,
So what's
yeah.
the how where, are you doing RV? Is you have a crew? What's the situation?
It is my dad, my daughter, and myself. Now, there's been a ton of people who have reached out and have offered, like, their support to crew, but with my style and logistics, obviously safety is my biggest focus, especially with Nora. Like, I can't just be on US 40, which is a state road that goes across the state. I can't be on that road
I've
the
heard of
entire way.
situations where people get like yanked off of a highway. You can't run on a highway or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. So my course is not one straight line. It is literally like this just
It
to
looks like an
make sure
elevation
that
profile.
it's terrible, but, that's the commitment that I made, ensuring I have either a sidewalk or I have a trail that I'm running on almost 100% of the time.
How did you find the route? You must have had to freaking zoom in on the Strava thing a million
Uh,
times.
couple weeks of work. I haven't gone out and fully
That's a
driven it
huge
yet,
hack
but
for AI nowadays. You probably get at least a little
yes.
tee up from what's the safest way or
Yeah.
maximize the greenway time.
Yeah. But, like, the good thing about that is I live in Central Indiana, so it's 2 hours one direction. So
Yeah.
my goal is, I'm gonna go out and it's gonna be about a marathon a day for 7 days. Some could be more, some could be less. But my plan is to be home every single night. Like, I'm not just delegating dad duty for a week. Like, I'm still gonna be present at the home, and I'll be
So
driving
you're
back
gonna
and forth.
run and then go home and then drive back to the starting point of the next one.
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
that's very cool. I wouldn't have expected
Yeah.
that. And Indiana is just generally speaking, the shape of it
Mhm.
makes that obviously
Yeah.
feasible.
Yeah. So, like, day 1, I'll stay in a hotel out in Terre Haute, which is about 2 hours west, so I can wake up, start the race, but, I'm essentially running home. I'll be at home on day 4, call it, and then every day after that, I'm just inching closer to the finish line.
Oh man, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. What are
Yeah.
the final pieces that have to come together for it? Like, are there any you freaking got a gear order coming in or you got some merch thing going on? What's the last
I've
minute
got
logistics?
Thankfully, I've been able to, leverage a partnership with Mount to Coast, and,
Nice.
I've got a full lineup here ready to go. To be honest, I don't wanna over prepare for it.
Yeah.
I'm physically ready, I'm mentally ready for it, I just need to let it happen and deal with the challenges in the moment.
Yeah.
I can't control those. They'll just
Yeah.
pop up when they're ready to. So don't need to overthink it.
Speaking of challenges in the moment, I mean, you were at the prairie site when all this flooding came in. What's the pulse on is the course okay? Are we expecting muddy conditions and sloppy race day? Should we have some like, trail kickers for what otherwise is a generally pretty smooth gravel trail?
So I'll have to report back. I have not been out there. However, there were a handful of runners who were getting some overnight yards on the night course. So there's two different
Yeah.
courses at the prairie. There's the day course, which is, light gravel, small single dirt trails, some pavement. I would suspect it to be a little sloppy. Thankfully we still have 25 days in advance of
Yeah.
the race. So I'm hopeful that the water levels are, almost gone by then. Um, they ran the night course, which is parallel to the street, so it's purely sidewalk. Nobody said anything as terms of like the flooding as to the picture that I shared, where you can't see any of the course, you can't see the shelter, you can barely see the playground at that. So
Yeah.
I'm optimistic that race day won't be impacted by the rain we just had.
Yeah. Those picks were pretty insane. I mean, that was a ton of flooding.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I want to shift a little bit. We'll wrap the show here with I got to give a shout out to Goldstein. Got to give a shout out to Goldstein and the Tribal 200. Goldstein and I chatted earlier today. And him out there giving his best this past week allowed me to give my best in this culminating marathon, that midnight marathon that closed down the Tribal 200. And I think it ties back to some themes on prairie, and it ties back to a half marathon that I ran last year. This half marathon that I ran at just a local brewery. I wanted to go out and like give it my best, and I ran stride for stride with two guys the entire time until the final quarter mile, and that 1,000% helped me get more out of myself than I would have been able to give otherwise. And in this Tribal 200 last week, knowing that Goldstein was just generally out there and doing something that I would have to work really hard to even try to get close to, helped me get the most out of myself. And so when I'm thinking about prairie success and strategies for prairie, obviously it's not really like an effort thing in the sense of like pushing and holding pace, but I am definitely thinking about, there'll be some opportunities where somebody else gets up out of a chair when somebody doesn't want to, and that helps that person go get that next yard. And I remember last year, there were a couple of tribal guys, Mason and Jonathan, that really wanted to stay cozy for the 36-mile finish or whatever it was. And other people helping get them out there for the 40 miles and really culminating the effort. Just kind of an underrated strategy. But even deeper within both Goldstein's run and my run, we had a common theme that was unexpected or unspoken about, and that is another tribal athlete showing up on a bike to support Goldstein and I running. And for Goldstein, that was C Boyce out just running, riding up and down. The C Boyce just did an Ironman a week or two ago, and he's out there at midnight just being with Goldstein as Goldstein goes and gives his best. And when I was coming up on my 10th mile, I'm doing this circle neighborhood loop near me. It's zero point 0.8 miles. I'm not thinking one thing about anybody anywhere. And I see this car and this bike is getting pulled out. And I just think it's like the person at their driveway. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. It's pretty late. And all of a sudden I hear my mom's voice. And I was like, "Hey, Ray!" I'm like, "No way!" And my mom came out, and that was at about 1:30 in the morning, and she rode side by side with me for about an hour, and helped me, kind of make that transition from like this is feeling pretty easy, but it's going to get pretty hard soon, to then like it's hard. And it was nice too because then she headed back home and set me off on my way to go finish the effort. But I thought it was really cool that two tribal athletes showed up. So athletes of the week, we got a shared award this week. It's both C Boyce and my mom for being out there friggin' under the stars to help other people get the most out of themselves. So just appreciate both of those tribal athletes very strongly. And that's what we got on the docket. Why don't you send us off with something? What's the mindset theme right now? What's alive for you? What are you anchoring to right now that you want to share with everybody?
Just create something regardless of how small it is, and find the time to just stay in that mindset.
You mean related to splits?
Just anything, whether
Yeah.
you're writing,
But, like,
whether
that's
you're
what you're yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really cool to see the splits thing take off, and I really am just inspired by the local element of it, and how, you sent out 100 DMs, and one of those connections turned into a sale, and then turned into an opportunity to make something together, and then turned into your biggest opportunity in the business's history. And I just think it's super impressive, and I love the hats. I'm super stoked to rock the Prairie one, and, yeah, man, I'm proud of you. It's exciting to see it take off.
think so. I mean, I mean that too with, like, their style of training too. Like, you're getting
Yeah.
creative with the sandbags, like, things I've never seen you trade with, and that's led to your own form of community as well and what you're building with your carry club, so stay creative whatever the environment
Dude, we have
is.
huge this will be an exciting send off. So there's not only, and I know that he reached out to you because I told him to reach out to you. He's like, I already did. Joe Marcelli, shout out Joe Marcelli in Philly. He's interested. He's trying to build something local. He's trying to get in the mix on some kind of entrepreneurial something, some kind of community something. Right. And I'm going to be back in Philly this weekend for a family wedding. So Joe and I were looking to sync up for some kind of run or something like that. And we just chatted this morning, and I'm like, bro, let's just do a carry club and we'll invite a bunch of other people. At the bare minimum, it'll be you, me, and my dad. But like that's great too. Who cares?
Heck yeah. Heck
And
yeah.
and the vision for him right now, this is pretty exciting. So he loves going to the Lifetime locally there in Wayne, PA, King of Prussia Lifetime. And he has been trying to get connected to like a local gym community. And he's had a couple connections and conversations with like small box gym owners, but he goes to Lifetime. And there hasn't been quite the traction that we've wanted on like making something with these gym owners, whether it's like you promote the gym or you write about the gym, share about it online, organize a meetup there, whatever. I'm like, let's just lean into what you're actively doing. And so I know a guy here, the guy who actually inspired my Carry Club start.
Mhm.
This guy, his name is Ryan as well. And he hosts like a Wednesday hike for the Lifetime. So it's like a Lifetime extension to get into the community. And I connected Joe and him, and we found out that this Ryan guy just pitched it to the Lifetime. He just went to them and said, hey, I'm thinking about organizing this thing, and I want to do it through Lifetime, and I think it can help you guys get plugged into the community. And so they brought him on. His family membership is totally free. I think he's paid in some other capacity. And so for Joe Marcelli, I'm like, dude, we just get this one situation, same way that Logan had one guy buy a hat. We get this one carry club started on Saturday. You get to go to Lifetime and you get to say, I've been hosting this carry club. It's this thing. We can start here. And he has ideas of maybe doing like simulated try type stuff there with the other swimmers. And it could be anything. But it's like, get it live and get it going. And yeah, man, I'm just excited for Joe. And it was cool because I was like, dude, you got to talk to Logan. Logan hit me up. He's like, I already hit him up. I'm like, let's go.
Keep building.
Yeah, man. So that's what we got. But we'll keep it rolling. Thanks for joining the show this week, man. This was awesome to chat.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Peace. See ya.